Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today I'm building the perfect smartphone. Excuse me. Now, I'm building a perfect smartphone for myself, not for you, because I don't know what your needs are. Everyone's needs are different when it comes to smartphones. Now, I'm not a gamer, so I don't need no gaming specifications or anything like that. I don't play games. Really, I don't play games at all. So that's something I don't need on a smartphone. But with building the perfect smartphone, it's gonna take. I want to. I want to take something from all of these devices. That's why they're on the table here, and I'm going to explain which features and which things that I, would take from each of these devices to make the perfect smartphone. Now, I'm not going to mention. I'm only going to mention one smartphone that I don't have, and that's the Pixel 8 Pro. And it's only one thing that I want from that smartphone that will be on my perfect smartphone. I'll mention that when I get to it. But each and every one of these devices is something that I want from each and every one of them to be on one phone to make my perfect smartphone. Now, I think you guys may find this interesting. I hope you do. And I hope you stick around and watch the whole video. All right, number one, when it comes to design, I want the design of the Samsung S23 Ultra. I love this design. Now, I didn't think I would because, like I said in my full review of this device, when it first came out, I did not like this design. Sorry, I preferred the design of the Note 20 Ultra, which I still like that design. But this design actually has grown on me, so I actually like this design to be the number one design when it comes to my perfect smartphone. I want the design of the S23 Ultra. Number two, the size of the device. Now, when it comes to the size, I want the size of the Vivo X Note. Why? Because it's a big, giant 7-inch display. It's huge. It's bigger than that of the S23 Ultra. Now, I'm only speaking for me. I'm not speaking for you. I like really big phones. Now, the S23 Ultra is a little easier to manage one-handed. I will admit that. But I still like big, giant phones. The bigger the display and the brighter display and the Quad HD, display, I love that. So I want this size, 7 inches, and I want it to be this wide. Now, when it comes to thickness, I want the thickness of the S23 Ultra. Now, I love the way they squared it off on the side to make it easier to hold, even though I don't use phones without cases. Now, for this one, actually, without a case, the corners can literally stab you in your hand. So Samsung may want to consider rounding that off a little bit just to make it a little more comfortable, because it's not the ideal phone to use without a case for a long period of time without it stabbing you in your hand. At least that's what I felt when I, was, testing out the build quality. So I want the size of the Vivo X Note as far as 7 inches, but I want the thickness of the S21 Ultra. Next, when it comes to biometrics, I clearly want the biometrics of the Vivo X Note. Why? Because they're perfect. Face unlock, super fast, and the ultrasonic fingerprint sensor is 100% accurate and it's extremely fast. So when it comes to biometrics, give me the biometrics of the Vivo X Note. Even though Samsung's S23 Ultra has improved with the fingerprint sensor, but the face unlock is still trash in my opinion. When it comes to the cameras, now this may be some people may find this to be a little sensitive, when it comes to cameras, because everybody sees things different. What I think is really nice is going to be different from what you see. So for me, pretty much every camera on this table is really good. Of course, these are not all flagship devices. Like, let me see. No, I'm sorry. There is, all of these are flagship devices. I'm sorry, but this is a gaming phone. So The cameras on the ROG 5 is not going to be as good as these other devices, but it does have a good camera. But when it comes to overall camera quality, as far as photos and videos and night photos and all of that, give me the cameras of the Vivo X Note. I mean, these cameras are just phenomenal. Like, check out my full review on this device and check out the photos and the video segment and you'll see. But you may disagree. But for me, and like I said, I have the S23, so I already tested the cameras. I still like the cameras on this device better than that of the S23 Ultra, especially the night photos. So when it comes to cameras, give me the Vivo X Note. But when it comes to cameras, I'm going to get in a little more detailed about what I want my camera to be able to do, like how I want it to perform. I'll get into that a little later because all this stuff here is not in any particular order. Next, the button placement. Give me the button placement of the ROG 5. Why? Because it's perfect. Like, look where my thumb is at. This is how my hand just relaxes on my device. It's right here where it should be. Not up here where I got to stretch, because as you can see with my thumb, I don't have long fingers. Now, if you're a person that have long fingers, the button placement on other phones is not going to be an issue for you, but everybody don't have long fingers. So for me, the button placement on the ROG 5 is perfect. Perfect for me to reach the volume, but most importantly, the power, because this is what I interact with more than any other button. Now, once I turn the volume rockers all the way up, that's where it usually stays. So it's more important for me that my power button is super low. Even the S23 Ultra's power button is not this low. Even though I like the placement, but it's still not as low as the ROG 5. This is the best button placement that I have on any of my phones by far. Now, all of them are good, but not as good. Well, the Note 9s is not that good, but this is the lowest. So give me the button placement of the Asus ROG 5 when it comes to button placement. Next, when it comes to always on display, that's easy. Give me a Samsung device, because Samsung makes the best always on display in the business as far as I'm concerned. All of these phones have always on displays, but Samsung still makes the best, highly customizable. And I just love how bright it is. All the notifications are colored so you can see what they are. You could always see the fingerprint sensor, which Samsung is the only company that does that, whereas you could leave it, you could turn it off, or you could always leave it on. I want it always on because I always want to see where it is. So if I need to press it, I can press it with no problem. So give me the always on display from Samsung. Next, dual stereo speakers. Now, pretty much all of these phones have really, really good stereo speakers. I mean, the Mi 11 Ultra has great stereo speakers. The LG V60 has great stereo speakers. Okay. The S23 Ultra has great stereo speakers. The only device on this table that doesn't have great stereo speakers would be the Note 9, because this is the oldest device on the table. It has good stereo speakers, but not great. But when it comes to which device has the best stereo speakers, and for my perfect smartphone, I want these speakers above all the other ones, give me the Asus ROG 5. These are by far the best stereo speakers that I have on any smartphone that I own or has ever owned. And the thing that I like about these two is that they're front firing speakers. Both speakers are on the front of the display, not on the top, not on the bottom, in the front display. Now, I wish other manufacturers would start doing that. Give us front firing speakers. Now, I'm not saying because they're not front firing, they don't still sound good, but it's nothing like having the sound come directly at you. And the loudness and the overall quality is definitely the Asus ROG 5 when it comes to dual stereo speakers. They're beast mode. Now, of course, somebody going to get in the comments and say, oh, the Redmi Magic Note, Redmi Magic 8 Pro is better. Listen, I don't have the Red Magic, and I've never had it. I'm only talking about devices that I have. So for me, the best dual stereo speakers that I have is the Asus ROG 5. Next, when it comes to refresh rate, how many hertz when it comes to refresh rate do I want? Give me the Asus ROG 5. I want 144 hertz refresh rate. Y'all don't understand. When you get to 144, when you're scrolling, I mean, it is super fast and super smooth. Now, you may not be able to see it on this camera because it really doesn't, it may not do it justice, but let me tell you, as far as fluidity and smooth, I mean, this thing is ridiculous. And then when you scroll fast, everything is super blazing fast. So give me 144 hertz refresh rate. And to me, if you're going to call yourself an ultra device, can you give me some more ultra features like a higher refresh rate? Yes, it may hurt the battery a little bit. How about making the battery bigger then? Or optimizing it better? But I want more. These phones need to stop calling themselves ultra and they're not giving me ultra features. Because everybody is not heavily into the cameras. It can't just be about the cameras. Because when you listen to other content creators, what do they talk about the most? Is the camera. I don't care about the camera like that. I mean, I want a camera that shoots really good photos and videos, but I'm a point and shoot guy. I'm not going to be doing RAW and using the pro mode, excuse me, and all that. It's nice to have all of that stuff just in case you just want to play with the camera one day. Excuse me. But I think for most people, they're just point and shoot type of people where they just want to, turn their camera on, take a quick shot, be done with it. They don't want to have to get in changing the white balance, shutter speed, and all that. They don't want to get into all of that. They just want to turn the camera on, take a quick picture, take a quick video. So for me, when it comes to something like that, refresh rate, I want a higher refresh rate. Give me 144. Now, the thing that's good about this, the highest is 144, but you could crank it down to 120, 90, and then to 60. I like having all of those options. That's something Samsung should be doing, and just having me stuck on 120 hertz. Give me a higher refresh rate. Give me a lower one. Let me go from 120 to 90. But definitely I would like to go up to 144. That would be nice. And some gaming phones now even go up to 165. If you're going to call yourself an ultra, I want ultra features. That's just me. Next, let's talk about the display. Now this one was really, really hard because the Vivo X Note has an excellent display. The Mi 11 Ultra has an excellent display. The LG V60 has a great display. The OnePlus has an excellent display. And of course, the S23 has an excellent display. But after going over this very thoroughly, like I said, it's very hard. But I got to go with the Samsung S23 Ultra when it comes to the display. First of all, I like the dynamics of this display, how it's square, no bezels. Even though my Vivo X Note is bigger but this display actually gets brighter because it has an extra brightness toggle where you can make this even more bright. I tried using this brightness. I used it for a whole day and I liked it. And I wanted to see, how much of an impact would the battery have. It lasted well over 11 hours at that extra brightness. So this battery on here is just beast mode. Seriously, it didn't affect the battery that much at all. And usually I'm not on my phone like that for hours and hours and hours. So if I just use this like I usually use it, which my screen on time on this phone is probably about 2.5 hours every day, I would easily get through a day even with that extra brightness. But just overall quality, I gotta go with the S23 Ultra when it comes to brightness. But there is when it comes to the display, but there is something else about this display that it doesn't have that the OnePlus 8 Pro has, and I'll get to that when I get to that part of the video. When it comes to performance, now this one was quite easy. Give me the performance of the Vivo X Note because it's super fast and silky smooth. Also, give me the performance that comes from the Asus ROG 5, which is super fast and very smooth. And also, give me the performance that you get from the Mi 11 Ultra. Super fast, silky smooth. And also, I could add the OnePlus 8 in there as well. So when it comes to performance, that's the those are the devices I want that type of performance. From those type of devices, I want that type of performance. When it comes to build quality, this is easy. Give me the build quality of the Mi 11 Ultra. Why? Because it has a ceramic build. And you don't understand how premium and how much quality that ceramic feels until you actually own a phone that has a ceramic build. Now, keep in mind, it does make the phone slippery. But if you don't have really dry hands, it's not going to be a problem. Your hands are a little more moist, it's not going to be a problem. It will be a fingerprint magnet, unfortunately, unless you get a white color. If you get black, you're going to see all the fingerprints. But just based on how it feels, the best feeling phone when it comes to build quality would be, for me, the Mi 11 Ultra with a ceramic build. All right, next, when it comes to audio, this is real easy. Give me the audio that comes out of the LG V60. When I'm talking about, the 32-bit hi-fi quad DAC in this device is incredible. Nothing else on this table is touching this when it comes to audio. Now, the only one that comes in, I'll say comes in second, would be the Asus ROG 5. But that's about it. Now, all the rest of these are decent. They're good. But they ain't close to this 32-bit hi-fi quad that's in the LG V60. So when it comes to audio, give me the LG V60. But basically, I want a 32-bit hi-fi quad DAC in it. All right. Next, when it comes to expandable storage, once again, give me the LG V60. I want that type of storage. Expandable storage up to 2 terabytes. That's what I want. Next, I want a headphone jack. Okay? You got a headphone jack on the Note 9, on the Asus ROG 5, on the LG V60, and I want a headphone jack on my device along with a 32-bit hi-fi quad DAC. Next, I want a secondary display on the back of the device. And of course, that would be the Mi 11 Ultra. And I want to be able to get all my notifications. I want to be able to control my media, answer phone calls, take photos and videos. But I want it to be able, I want to have the option to keep it on all the time as opposed to this going out in 30 seconds. So I definitely want a rear display. And it could actually be a little bit bigger than this, but I definitely want a secondary display on the back of my device. Next, I want the alert slider from the OnePlus 8. Because from here you can go from ring, silent, to vibrate. So give me the alert slider of the OnePlus 8 Pro. Because my Vivo X Note has an alert slider, but it only goes from ring to vibrate. This goes from ring, vibrate to silent. Next, give me the secure face unlock. Now, this is going to be the only device that I'm going to mention that I don't actually have, but I'm going to eventually get. Give me the secure face unlock of the OnePlus 8 Pro. None of these devices on this table has a secure face unlock. That one does. So I could basically use my banking app with that device. So I want a secure face unlock from the OnePlus 8 Pro, but I want the performance that of the Vivo X Note when it comes to the face unlock. I want it to be super fast and be able to work in any conditions, any lighting conditions. Next, give me the IR blaster from either the Vivo or the Mi 11 Ultra. They have the same IR blaster, so I want an IR blaster on my device. Next, give me the iris sensor of the Note 9. Now, there hasn't been any devices that have come out with an iris sensor since this device, and that's a shame. And I know the main reason because everybody's going bezel-less, no notch, no nothing. But you can still have a very thin bezel and still put that sensor underneath. It's just a shame because that was one of my favorite features of this device was the iris sensor, where you could literally open up the phone with your eyes. I love that. And it was super secure. I could use it with my banking app. And of course, I could use it with Secure Folder. So give me an iris sensor. That's what I would want on my perfect smartphone. Next, give me the LED notification sensor, either of the Note 9 or the ROG 5. Both of them have an LED notification sensor. No other device on this table has that except for these two. And that's something I actually miss. Next, give me the heart rate monitor from the Note 9. It's right back here and right next to the camera. All you do is put your finger there and you get your heart rate. Now, I know some people saying, well, you could get that from your smartwatch. But keep in mind, everybody don't wear smartwatches. So it's nice to know if you have a phone that has a heart rate monitor, whether it's built on the back of the phone or maybe it could be built into the fingerprint sensor. Because I know there's a phone out there where the heart rate monitor is built into the fingerprint sensor, but I can't remember the name of that device. I'll even take that. I just want a heart rate monitor. Next, give me, and I also don't have this device, I'm sorry, so it's two devices I actually don't have, but I did have this device before, is give me the squeezeology to activate Google Assistant of the Pixel 4 XL. Now, I love that phone because you could just squeeze the phone, it'll automatically activate Google Assistant. I like that. And I wish the Google would bring actually that feature back because that was cool. So I would love to have the squeezeology to activate the Google Assistant on my perfect smartphone device. Next, give me the brightness of the S23 Ultra. Remember, I said it had that extra brightness where you can make it brighter, even though more than likely I'm not going to use it because it gets too bright and it hurts my eyes. But I like how bright this phone gets. So I tell you what, I'll take the brightness that of the Mi 11 Ultra, 1700, or 1750 of the S23 Ultra. So both of these devices get the brightest that I have on this table. So I want something bright, but I don't want it to hurt my eyes. Next, now this is a big one for me, and I think most of you out there may understand this. But when it comes to the overall operating system, you got to give me a Samsung device. I want One UI. Why? Because it's one-handed friendly. You can literally operate this device one-handed. And that's good, especially for this device being as big as it is. More manufacturers need to consider making moving through their OS a little more one-handed friendly, especially if it's a large device. But One UI earned the name One UI because it's one-handed friendly. And I love the way the OS is set up, the way it's organized. It's my favorite OS out of all the OSs that come on all of these different smartphones. But One UI is my favorite. I want One UI as far as my operating system is concerned. Next, give me 80-watt wired charging, that of the Vivo X Note. I want to be able to charge my device in 30 minutes. And I'm cool with that. I know there's some devices out there that can do it in less than 20 minutes. And that's cool too, but 30 minutes is good for me. So I want 80-watt super fast wired charging. And that's what this device has. Next, give me 67-watt wireless charging. You get that from the Mi 11 Ultra. And ever since they made this device, every device that they made that came after this, as far as an Ultra device, has only had 50-watt wireless charging. I don't know why they took it down so far, but they never, I thought they were going to remain at 67, but the wired charging went up, but the wireless charging was reduced. I don't know why that is, but I want 67-watt wireless charging. So give me the wireless charging, that of the Mi 11 Ultra. Next, give me 15-watt reverse wireless charging. Now, none of the devices on this table offer 15-watt reverse wireless charging, otherwise known as power share. But the Vivo does have 10 watts. The Mi 11 Ultra also has 10 watts. Of course, none on the Note 9, none on the Asus, none on the LG. The reverse wireless charging on the OnePlus is like 4.5, real low. And also the wireless charging on the S23 Ultra is 4.5. So even though 10 is good, but give me 15, I want to increase in my reverse wireless charging. Next, when it comes to presentation, which device has given me the best presentation and the kind of presentation that consumers deserve? That would be the Vivo X Note. All you got to do is watch my unboxing and first impressions, and you'll understand why I want the presentation that of the Vivo X Note. This is the way, when you're dealing with a flagship device and you're willing to pay $1,000, with the way Vivo did it with this phone, is the way you want to be presented as a consumer. And everyone out there that pays their hard-earned money for these devices should want the kind of presentation that Vivo gives you with this device. Something Samsung needs to get back to, because they completely drop the ball when it comes to presentation. They don't even care anymore. They just give you a charging cable and a box. That's it. But Vivo X Note not only gives you a nice box and presentation, but they give you all the accessories that you're going to need with your smart device. And I respect them for that. Next, transition effects. Give me the transition effects that of the Vivo X Note. What I mean by that, just the way it even turns on. You're going to see how you got a transition effect, and even the way it shuts off, how it just goes like that. Also, you got these nice animation. And of course, I like this barrel roll here. Like, Samsung need to offer stuff like this. And when you plug in your phone, you get different stuff. And when of course, the main thing is when you're going in and out of apps, how smooth it looks and how smooth it feels. Give me the transition effects that of the Vivo X Note. Next, you got to give me Samsung DeX. Now, I don't use Samsung DeX often at all, but I just like the option of having it if I ever want to use it. So definitely, I want Samsung DeX. Next, I want the S Pen, but I want it on the right side of the device, not the left. I want it back where it belongs, on the right side of the device. But I definitely want the S Pen. And I don't use the S Pen a lot, but there are times when I really, really need it. And I'm glad it's there if I need it. And it's very versatile. So I have to have an S Pen. Next, give me the motion graphic smoothing from the OnePlus 8. You don't understand how brilliant that this device makes when you're watching content looks when that motion graphic smoothing kicks on. It makes everything look super smooth and even more clear and real. So it's almost like you're there. You're like, it's so clear to you, you don't even look like you're looking at a movie. It's like you're actually in the movie or in whatever content that's being displayed. And it does this on YouTube and also whatever video app that you're using. The motion graphic smoothing, I definitely want that accompanied with my display. And that's what the OnePlus 8 Pro gives you. For some reason, they took this off the OnePlus 11. I don't know if they took it off the OnePlus 10 Pro because I didn't have that device, but they definitely removed it from the OnePlus 11. I hope that's something they put back on the OnePlus 12. Now, specifications when it comes to the cameras. Now I talked about I wanted the cameras of the Vivo X Note, but these are the specific, you know, when it comes to specifics of what I want my camera to be able to do. All right, let me start with this. When it comes to zoom, I want it to be able to zoom 120 times with the photos, but I want it to be crystal clear when you use up to 120 times zoom for the photos. I want 50 times zoom on the videos, 50 times. All right. Now, when it comes to optical zoom, now y'all may like this, you may not, but I think you're gonna like this part. I want 3 times optical zoom. I want 5 times optical zoom. I want 10 times optical zoom, 20 times optical zoom, and 30 times optical zoom. Now that's versatility for you right there. I think most people would definitely take that in a heartbeat. I also want to be able to shoot 1080p at 120 frames per second. Also 4K at 120 frames per second on the front and back cameras. Not just on the back. I wanted that capability on the front and back. And last but not surely least, I want a 7,000 milliamp hour battery, and I want the battery to last minimum 3 days with heavy usage. 7,000 milliamp hour battery, 3 days with heavy usage. Now, for me, all the things I mentioned is what would make up the perfect smartphone for me. Now, not for you, but for me, I would want all of these things when it comes to making the perfect smartphone. Now, if I got a smartphone that gave me all of that, and then on top of that gave me 7 years of OS and security updates, I would not buy another phone for literally 7 years. I would have no reason to buy another phone for 7 years. Now, I understand why most of these manufacturers are not going to give everybody what they want. I mean, at the same time, you're not going to ever please everybody anyway. You could give all of that and somebody would still have something to complain about because that's just the way people are. But for me, if my phone was loaded down that much, there would be no reason for me to upgrade at all. Zero. For at least 5 to 7 years, unless I just wanted something new. But other than that, I would be happy with what I have because you give me everything I want. And I would be willing to pay over $1,000 for a device that gave me all of that. I'd pay as much as $1,500 for a device that gave me all of that I mentioned. All those 34, maybe 35 things that I mentioned is worth that money because you're getting everything you could possibly squeeze and put in a phone. So thank you all for taking the time to view this content. I do appreciate it. I really thought this was going to be a lot shorter, but I forgot that I listed quite a few things and I wanted to explain the things that I mentioned. So I appreciate you guys if you made it to the end for watching this. Thank you all very, very much. And a big shout out to all my subscribers. I do appreciate you. Thank you for continuing to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for your support. You mean the world to me. Without you, this channel is not even possible. So I hope everybody out there is staying safe, staying well, and I'll check you guys out in the next one. Peace.